Now that we have all of our contents in place for the Bookworm website, it is time for us to do a little styling to it. Now, typically, you are going to actually design the style of your website before you start building it. But in this instance, we're going to do it at the end. So we're going to start by opening our index page in TextEdit. And you might remember that up here at the top, we have this style right here. And this style is based on the div that we named placeholder. See right here? And it gives the position, the placement, the height, the width, etc. We're going to go ahead and keep it there. However, I want you to realize, you see where it says type text equals C or text CSS? This could go in an external style sheet. And that's what actually we're going to create now. So I'm going to go ahead and do a file new or command N to make a new document. And I am going to increase my size one more time because I didn't do it in the preferences like I should have. So we're going to start by assigning a style to the placeholder. So I'm going to put in the # or the hashtag placeholder, and I'm going to use my curly bracket, and I'm going to go ahead and close my curly bracket so I don't forget. I'm going to use the tab key on my keyboard, not the space bar, the tab key, one tab. And what I want to do is I actually want to give the div a background color. Okay. Now, let me open this up again so you can look. If you will do a Google search for color, well, actually you don't have to Google search. The name of it is color.adobe.com. And it will load. There is a new image in Poland Pickup called Yellow Stripe BG. It's a JPEG, and I want you to get it and place it in your images folder in the Bookworm website. Okay? Now, if you will click this camera up at the top here, it will allow you to choose that image and open it in Adobe Color. And based on this image, you can drag these points to find certain places of this image that you want the color sampled. So I know that this one right here is a pretty light shade of yellow, and it's right there. And in order for me to get the hexadecimal color from it, I will click up here now where it says Create from Color Wheel. And I can see that this is FEE BB, I don't know if that's BB5 or BBS. Let me zoom in real quick. BB5. Okay. So I'm going to put background color, and remember the hashtag FEEBB5 and then a semicolon. I'm going to save it. It's going to save into my Bookworm folder, style.css. Now, style is not a magic name. You could name it bookworm.css. You could name it book.css. You could even name it your first name.css. The key is to make it something simple that you're going to memorize or be able to find easily so that you can make the correct link to it in your pages. So style.css, the .css is, however, mandatory. Use CSS. And the next thing I want to do is I want to go into my index page, and we're going to start just with this page. I'm going to go underneath the style that's already there, and I'm going to put in the link. Remember, we have to say that it's related to a style sheet and that the type is equal to text/CSS, and the href, or the hypertext reference, is the name of the file, which is style.css. And the quote, and don't forget your greater than symbol. Now, when I hit save and go to my page, the rectangle here in the middle should have the color I want. Okay? Now, I'm going to go back to my style sheet, and what I want to do, I want to actually use this yellow stripe as the background around the div. So it's going to be the page background. So I'm going to go and type in body. I'm going to use my curly bracket and remember to close it. This is going to be background image. Now, this one is a little bit different. You have to type URL, then a parentheses, and a quote, then images, because that's the name of the folder that the image is in, slash, and then the name of the file, which is yellow underscore stripe underscore bg.jpg, and the quote, close parenthesis, and semicolon. Now I'm going to save it and come over here, and there is the stripe that surrounds the div. And I'm happy with the color choice that the color picked up from that image. So I will leave it as such. Okay? So now what I'd like to do is I would like to define what our heading is going to look like. And if you recall, all of our headings are size 1, H1. So again, curly brackets. And I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say I want a font family. And I'm on my home computer right now. You are going to be on your school computer, but both computers have this font book right here. And you can look and see what is installed on the computer. Okay. What I want you to actually choose is a font that has a nice, thick, line to it, like this particular one here. In fact, I'll go ahead and use this one. Now, when I put in a font, I have to make sure that I spell it correctly. So that is going to be Bernard, MT, condensed. And I'm going to save it to make sure that I did it correctly. And there it is. And I definitely like this font better than the one that was there. Now, I also, because it's an H1, I have the ability to make it bigger, smaller than it is right now. So I'm going to put in font size, and I'm not actually sure what size I want it to be. So I'm going to start with a 24 point, save it, refresh it, and actually that looks like that's what it is. So I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. Let me try 28. Oops, I accidentally put a space there, which I didn't mean to. Let me see. Okay, that one's a little bit bigger. I'm going to go ahead and make it an even 30. I think we'll keep it at 30. There. So that's how I'm going to keep it. Now, yours may not be 30 because remember that not all font families look the same. So you may wind up with a font that looks bigger than this, and you may need a smaller one. I'm going to let you adjust it, but make sure that you do adjust it. Then we need to choose a color that is complementary to the background, which is that light yellow. So if I come back over here to my color wheel, my Adobe color wheel, notice that if I come down here in my color rule, I can choose complementary. Okay, so this is the color that I used. I'm going to do complementary. And so this is it. They put it in the middle. Or did they? No, they didn't. FEEBB5. So if I do FEEBB5, okay, so that's the middle. It's right here, right there. So opposite is going to be over here, one of these blues. I like this one here, FB6. I'm going to have to zoom in again. FB6DB1. Yes, that's what I'm going to choose. So hashtag FB6DB1, semicolon to close it, save it, refresh. I like the color. Okay. Now we have our text, and here we can come back into the body, and I'm going to do a font family. And while there are a ton of fonts on our computers, the text that shows up that people have to read and read a bit of, it's important that it is kept at a font that is easy for the reader to see. So for that, I usually stick with Arial, Helvetica, Verdana, one of those, because it does make it easier to read, and that is important. Okay, so here I'm doing Helvetica. I am going to do font size because I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I'm going to try 14 point and see if I like that. I do. And because I have a very light background here, I am going to keep the color the color of the text the same. Okay. Now, one thing I did notice here is that because I increased the size of the font, now this one word of this quote is way down here. That's not good. So I'm going to come back into the index, and I'm going to find that image. And you see how I had it aligned to the middle? I'm going to change it to align left. And then I will put an extra paragraph break here. And I can do that by putting in a code called NBSP semicolon. That's called a non-breaking space. And basically it requires that, whoops, and I maybe need to do that twice. So that the come check is on a line underneath it. Okay, and then I'm also going to go ahead, this one does not have H space, which we had put on the previous ones of 15 pixels. So, oops, and I don't have to do pixels, I just type 15. So I'm going to put that there, and actually now I can get rid of one of those. And this is how we go about doing our websites so that we can make sure things work. Okay, one more thing, we have links. Now, our link, remember, is the A, okay? And there's three parts to it. A link, A visited, that means when you've already clicked on it, and A active, that's when you're actually clicking on it. So we need to define the color for each one. We're going to keep the font the same as everywhere else, we just want a different color. So we should actually be able to do a comma and put these together. We'll try it and see. And curly bracket, color. I'm going to go ahead and make the color of each of them red. And then I'm going to close my curly bracket and save. And they all showed up that way.